In a small, quiet house, there lived a golden retriever named Barnaby. Barnaby loved his life. Every morning he chased tennis balls, barked at squirrels, and went on long walks with his owner, Arthur. The two of them were always together, and the house was always full of energy. But one week, everything changed. Arthur became very sick. Instead of going outside, Arthur spent his days lying on the couch under a thick green blanket. The house that once felt warm and lively suddenly became quiet. Barnaby didn't understand what illness meant, but he knew something was wrong. He could smell the medicine in the air and hear Arthur coughing. His owner looked tired and sad. At first, Barnaby tried to be a good nurse. He quietly sat beside the couch and rested his head on Arthur's knee. Arthur smiled and gently patted him, but Barnaby noticed something. The smile didn't last long. So Barnaby decided he needed a different plan. If he couldn't fix the sickness, maybe he could fix the sadness. The next morning, Arthur slowly opened his eyes and looked across the room. And there was Barnaby, standing in the middle of the living room with Arthur's slippers sitting on top of his head like a hat. The dog stood very still, trying to balance it. Then he slowly marched around the coffee table like a soldier in a parade. Arthur stared for a moment, and then a small laugh escaped him. "Barnaby, you silly dog," he whispered. Barnaby's tail started wagging faster and faster. The joke had worked. From that day on, Barnaby performed a new trick every day. One day, he brought two completely different socks and dropped them on Arthur's lap. Then he looked down at his paws like he was confused why he didn't have socks too. Arthur laughed. Another day, Barnaby tried hiding behind a thin curtain, but only his face was hidden. His entire fluffy body and wagging tail were still sticking out. Arthur laughed even harder. Sometimes when Arthur started coughing, Barnaby would tilt his head and make funny little woof sounds that matched the cough. The timing was so ridiculous that Arthur couldn't help laughing. Slowly, something wonderful began to happen. Day by day, Arthur started feeling a little stronger. The quiet house slowly filled with laughter again. One afternoon, Barnaby was chasing his own tail in circles, but he spun too fast, lost his balance, and suddenly tumbled across the floor in a clumsy somersault. Arthur burst out laughing. Not a small laugh, but a real one. For the first time in many days, Arthur pushed the blanket aside and stood up from the couch. He looked down at Barnaby and smiled. "All right, Dr. Barnaby," he said. "I think I'm ready for a walk." Barnaby barked happily and ran to the door, because he knew his job was done. He wasn't just a dog. He was the best medicine his owner could ever have. And sometimes, a wagging tail and a silly joke can heal a heart better than anything else.